You reach a certain age and suddenly the world feels a little different. Slower, maybe. Quieter. But also clearer. The noise of youth fades, and in its place comes something more precious. Wisdom. Experience teaches you things no book can. And if you've lived long enough, you've probably discovered that your time, your peace, and your energy are not things you give away so freely anymore. You've earned them. Still, there's something strange about getting older. You become freer in many ways. Kids grow up, work slows down, and the calendar starts to look more open. And with that freedom, there's a temptation, a feeling that maybe now you can go anywhere, visit anyone, drop by and reconnect. After all, you've got the time. But just because you can go anywhere doesn't mean you should, especially when it comes to visiting certain people's homes. Now, this isn't about holding grudges or turning your back on people. It's about protecting your spirit, your well-being. Because the older you get, the more important it is to be selective about where you go and who you sit with. Some homes aren't filled with warmth. Some are filled with cold silences, sharp tongues, or heavy energies that linger long after you've left. And the truth is, your peace matters more now than ever before. So here's a piece of life advice that may not be written in any manual, but speaks volumes through lived experience. No matter how free you are, be careful about visiting the homes of certain people. People whose presence drains rather than uplifts you. People who, even after all these years, haven't learned to show respect, kindness, or simple gratitude. Their doors may be open, but their hearts may not be. And if you walk into that kind of space, you walk out feeling smaller, heavier, and maybe even questioning yourself. At this stage of life, you don't need that. We often think that age brings automatic respect, but that's not always the case. Sometimes the same people who should cherish your visit are the ones who barely look up from their phones, who speak to you like you're a burden, or who treat your wisdom as if it's outdated noise. And it hurts. Not because you expect much, but because you know how much you've given in your lifetime. You've raised families, carried burdens, worked hard, and still showed up with a smile. You deserve to be seen, not dismissed. Think about it. Have you ever walked into a home and immediately felt tension in the air? The kind you can't explain, but your body senses it. That's no coincidence. That's energy. And at your age, you learn to trust it. It's your spirit telling you, this space isn't safe for you. Maybe it's filled with gossip, arguments, or silent judgment. Maybe it's someone who only invites you over when they need something, but never just to enjoy your company. Whatever the reason, you feel it, and that feeling should guide you. You don't owe anyone your presence, not anymore. You've done your part, and now your time is yours. It's for joy, for ease, for people who truly see and celebrate you. And if that means saying no thank you to a visit that leaves you feeling less than whole, so be it. You're not being rude, you're being wise. Let's talk about that first kind of home, the one you might think is harmless, maybe even familiar. It could be a sibling's house, an old friend's, or even your grown child's. And yet, each time you leave, something feels off. Your heart feels a little heavier, and your mind starts replaying moments that didn't sit quite right. You see, some of the deepest wounds don't come from strangers. They come from the people we've loved the longest, the people we once protected, supported, even sacrificed for. And as time passes, it becomes harder to admit when those relationships have changed. Not for the better, but for the colder. You may walk into a house where you're greeted, sure, but not with warmth. The words are polite but empty. There's no light in their eyes when they see you. Maybe they only called you because it's convenient. Maybe you feel like you're interrupting rather than welcomed. You sit down at their table and the conversation stays surface level, or worse, becomes dismissive. They rush you through small talk, check their phone while you're mid-sentence, or offer you that tight, half-hearted smile that says, "I'm here, but I'd rather not be." And then there are moments that cut deeper, when your age becomes the punchline. When they roll their eyes at your stories, mock your habits, or talk about the real world as if your decades of life experience don't count anymore. They forget who taught them how to walk, how to ride a bike, how to face the world. They forget who stood by them during the hardest seasons of their life. You try not to take it personally, but how can you not? These aren't just any people. These are the ones you helped build. And now they act like you're from a world that doesn't matter anymore. That kind of energy, that kind of treatment, it doesn't just hurt, it chips away at your dignity. That's why I say this with love and with firmness. If someone's home makes you feel small, unappreciated, or unwelcome, you have every right to stay away. Blood may be thicker than water, but respect is thicker than both. And respect at your age is not optional. It's necessary. You've earned the right to be in rooms where you're valued, where your words matter, your stories are heard, and your presence is cherished. A warm home is not about the size of the house or the food on the table. It's about the way you're treated when you walk through the door. Do they light up when you arrive? Do they make time, not just space, for you? That tells you everything. And when they don't? When every visit leaves you feeling invisible, burdensome, or judged? Don't explain yourself. Don't wait for permission. Choose peace. Choose silence over tension. Choose your own living room, where the air is calm, the chair is your favorite, and you're surrounded by photos and memories that love you back. And here's something else to remember. Walking away from cold places doesn't mean you're bitter. It means you're better at recognizing what your soul needs. And your soul doesn't need to be tolerated. It needs to be embraced. Not every heavy visit begins with silence. Some start with laughter, with loud voices, clinking glasses, maybe even music playing in the background. At first glance, everything seems cheerful. The people in the room are smiling. The conversation flows. And for a moment, it feels like you're part of something vibrant and alive. But then slowly, something starts to shift. It's subtle at first. Maybe it's the way someone jokes, too sharply, or how the conversation turns into gossip, circling around people who aren't even there to defend themselves. Maybe it's how the laughter feels a little forced, or how no one truly listens when you speak. It's all energy. You begin to feel like an outsider at your own table. These homes, let's be honest, are often filled with chaos. Not the joyful kind, but the kind that never rests. You sense it in the way people interrupt each other, compete for attention, or stir drama just to keep things interesting. And if you stay long enough, you realize that your spirit, once calm and grounded, has started to feel restless and unsettled. This is the kind of place where conversations lack depth, where people wear masks, and everything revolves around noise, not connection. You leave those gatherings exhausted even if you laughed a little, because deep down you know the laughter didn't heal anything. It only distracted you for a while. At this stage in life, you don't need distraction. You need nourishment, real connection, peaceful environments. When you walk into a home, your heart should be able to breathe. You shouldn't have to compete to be heard. You shouldn't have to sit in a corner while people chase their next high or tear each other down behind fake smiles. You've outgrown that kind of noise. You've lived too much life to pretend anymore. You know what true friendship looks like. It's not the loudest room or the biggest crowd. It's the place where your silence is understood, where your presence is enough. The places that feed your soul, not drain it. And when a home doesn't offer you that, no matter how familiar the faces are, it's okay to leave early, or not go at all. Some people love company, but don't know how to offer companionship. They'll invite you in for show, for appearance, for comfort, but they won't offer you what you really deserve. Respect, stillness, and honest conversation. It's like drinking water with no minerals. Empty, tasteless, and ultimately unfulfilling. You didn't come this far to sit in shallow spaces. You're in a chapter now where joy should be quiet, deep, and rooted. Where your time is spent with people who don't just smile when you arrive. They exhale because your presence makes them feel safe too.